Welcome to the world of probiotic foods. This is Cultured Food Life with your host, Donna Schwenk.
Hi, everybody. I'm Donna, and I am here to talk to you about ways to heal your microbiome, basically ways to heal your gut. And the things I most want to share with you in these podcast shows is how you can turn your life around, get well, feel happy, but also feel inspired to keep doing these things that you're doing because you're going to see evidence of it in your life. And it can be just a simple thing of understanding how your body really works, how your 100 trillion unseen helpers inside of you work to keep you well every day. And certain foods you can add that are delicious, that are probiotic and prebiotic in nature, that can really change your life in a powerful way. And we talk a lot about the body on this show, and we talk about what the body's made of. And, you know, you're mostly made of microbes. You are more microbes than you are cells in your body. And it's kind of hard to wrap your head around that because, you know, we look at our bodies and we look like a bunch of cells and put together. And it's hard to imagine that we're 10 times the amount of cells that our body is. We're kind of like a little cloud walking around of bacteria. And most of you don't even know anything about your microbes because you can't really see them. And you don't even know that they're working their darndest to keep you healthy and alive and happy. But these unseen helpers have made their presence known to me, and they really did save my life. And they saved the life of my little daughter and my older kids. They helped them in so many ways. And the gratefulness that I feel and the joy that I feel and the well-being that I feel was really what catapulted me to start sharing this with others. And then I started seeing my friends and their families get better. And it was just a miraculous journey for me. And that was about 17 years ago in 2001 when all this really happened. It was 2002, I think. And I started seeing people heal from a myriad of diseases. And what a joy has it been for me to witness the struggles in my life turn into something so wonderful that I've helped so many people. But I want to tell you a story about a woman named Jolene. And when I first met Jolene, it was back in 2003, I think, or 2004. I can't remember when it was, but it was quite a while ago. And Jolene really thought I was weird, okay? Her kids, she had a daughter that was the same age as my little Holly was at the time, and she had a couple other kids. And people like to think that I'm kind of weird because I kind of changed my life. I kind of changed who I was when I discovered these cultured foods because I just got better and healthier and felt so good that it was hard for me to keep it quiet because I would see people struggling, and so I would share it with them. And Jolene was a person who thought, oh yeah, that works for her. She's successful with this stuff and that works, but this is not for me, is what Jolene was thinking. And she kind of thought I was a weirdo, she said. And I heard her say that to other people, and she was crazy. She said, I don't want to do that. I don't want anything to do with that. That's just too weird for me. And fermenting your foods on the counter to her was just dangerous and silly and absurd. And she'd want nothing to do with it. It was really funny because just yesterday I had to go take my dog to the vet. He got something in his eye, and he has a little ulcer. He scratched his eye, and I had to take him to the vet. And I was talking to the girl at checkout, and I had a kombucha, and she was asking me about it. She didn't know what it was, and I said, "Oh, you would love this. It's a great replacement for soda pop, and it's carbonated, it's bubbly, and you know it's got probiotics in it." And so she was all excited about it and asking me all about it. And then the other lady that was at the desk said, "Oh, I won't touch the stuff. It's just weird. I saw my friend how she makes it, because you can make the stuff." And I said, "Yeah, you can make it." They didn't know who I was at the time. And she goes, "You can make it, and it looks so weird. I won't touch it. I want nothing to do with it." This was the other receptionist. And so I kind of let it go when that happens. I don't force anything on anybody. And the other girl goes, "Well, can you tell me the name of it?" And she wanted to know more about it. So I gave her the name of kinds that she could buy at the store. And she said, "Do you know how I could even learn to make it or something?" And so I said, "Well, I have a website about it." So I gave her the website. I didn't say too much more about it because I kind of let people discover it for themselves. And if they want the information, they will seek it from me. So I gave her the information and then I went on my way, right? And every time that happens, I always get feedback from people and then they always get excited about it. And it's an exciting journey for me. But I learned a long time ago to not force this on anybody. Because when somebody's ready, the teacher will appear. And when somebody's not ready, they're not ready. And they let you know. And Jolene was one of those people that she just let me know. So I just didn't say much to her. I didn't say anything to her about her. But she was watching me. And she saw a lot of people getting better. A lot of the other moms who were doing it and their kids were getting better. And she was just watching me. And her daughter was in the same dance class as my daughter. And she had another child who was a little boy. She was pregnant at the time while she was watching me. Well, then she had the baby. And he was like about 2 years old when he was really sick. He had a lot of health problems when he was born. And they didn't know what was wrong with him. And he wasn't communicating or speaking any sentences. He wasn't crawling like a normal baby was when he was 1. And by the time he was 2, he was really what Jolene referred to as a stupor. It was like he was just locked in his head. He wasn't speaking very much, if anything. And if he did, you couldn't understand him. And he had a distended belly and a really large head. And he just looked like he had malnutrition. And he didn't look like he was developing right. And Jolene was just going to countless doctors trying to fix this. And I would watch him, and it was really heart-wrenching for me because I felt so bad for her. And she would come in, we saw each other like once or twice a week because we were in the same dance class, and she would tell me about this nutritionist she went to and this doctor she went to and all the things she was trying. And I really prayed for her that she would find the answer that she needed. And I think she went to she said 2 to 2 dozen doctors that she went to. And he had so many food allergies and he was so overwhelming because he was allergic to so many foods. And I'll never forget this day. I'd gone to dance class that morning and she came and she sat down in a chair across from me and said, "Okay, I'm done. I am ready to listen. Nothing is working. I've tried so many different things with so many different doctors and nutritionists and therapists that I don't know what else to do. I'm at my wit's ends. I can't go on like this." And she said, "Tell me what you do. I'm desperate." Well, I knew he wasn't absorbing his nutrients from his food, and I could tell that because he wasn't really growing properly. And his diet was so limited because there were so many things he was allergic to. I knew, and the amounts of food he was eating was humongous. I mean, he was eating, twice the amount of somebody twice his age was eating, and he wasn't really growing because he wasn't digesting the nutrients and getting what he needed from them because his body couldn't digest it. And so we had to start with some very specific probiotic foods that were adapted to him. He couldn't handle dairy, so we did coconut kefir. And that was one of the things that he did really, really well with. And he could have the cultured vegetables. He loved those. And he could do kombucha, which he loved. And he could do those. This is what I call the trilogy: kefir, kombucha, and cultured vegetables. So he did coconut kefir, cultured vegetables, and kombucha. And at every meal, she gave him one of those, whichever it was. And she had a special protein because I knew that he wasn't absorbing foods. And she found this protein that he could handle, made from peas. Their pea protein is real popular right now. It's really, really good too. I even use it to make kefir. It makes really thick kefir if you're interested. There's a milk, I think it's Ripple is what the name of it is. And it makes wonderful kefir, non-dairy kefir. That's really, really good. And so she was giving him that protein in his smoothie too. And she also gave him a lot of coconut oil as a fat because he really absorbed that well. It was easy. And the reason that was easier for him to digest was because it's a medium chain fatty acid. So it doesn't digest like a regular fat. It digests through the liver, so it digests first. And so the body has a much easier time digesting that particular fat. And he did really, really well on that. And this little guy was really living on very few foods and not absorbing any nutrients. So that was part of the reason why his brain wasn't working very good. And so she gave him one of these foods at every meal to help him digest his food and unlock the nutrients that he was eating. He either had, kefir for breakfast, and he had some vegetables, cultured vegetables at lunch, and kombucha, or vice versa for lunch and dinner. But with every meal, he had something that was a probiotic food that was loaded with probiotics that would help him digest and get nutrients from the foods he was eating with them. Because that's a real key secret that helped my oldest daughter heal from IBS. She had a cultured food at every meal, and that helped her digest her whole meal, not just the probiotic food that she was eating, but like anything that she would eat with it. It worked really well to help her digest it, and she got more nutrients from it, because when you have a probiotic food with a regular food, it breaks it down. The probiotic food is loaded with enzymes, so you're gonna be able to digest it easier, and you're going to be able to get more nutrients from the food. Okay, so she did this for a few weeks with him. And lo and behold, and I kid you not, I think it was week 2, he started speaking in sentences. And fast forward a year later, and he wasn't allergic to any of those foods anymore. Nothing. He could eat just about anything. And not only that, he started reading at 3 years old, like big time reading for a little boy. Most 3-year-olds aren't reading, and he was on it. He was reading like there was no tomorrow. And I think he was making up for the lost time where he was locked in his head and couldn't speak. I think he wanted to and he couldn't, and I think once he got set free from that, he took off like a jet rocket. And this is not an uncommon thing in my work. I actually see this happen a lot, especially with kids who have autistic problems, learning behavior problems. I see this all the time. They start to accelerate. They start to speak when they couldn't speak in sentences before. They start to, their learning skyrockets. And I have some testimonies on my Lives Touch page at culturedfoodlife.com if you'd like to read some of those stories. They're so heartwarming. They're so encouraging. And if you're struggling with someone you love in that area and need some encouragement, I really encourage you to go over there and read some of those stories. These are real people with real problems who thought they were at their wits' end. And it just fills my heart up to see these, not just people get better, not just adults, but the children, because the children are so dependent on us. And to see the health benefits that they've received and how they start to develop and learn and grow and become the people they need to be when their gut heals and when they start to receive the things they need, the nutrients they need. Inside of you are trillions of microbes that make up the body known as you. And without them, you can't digest your food, and you can't get the nutrients you need to build your body and to have the nutrients you need for cognitive functions. Your emotions, believe it or not, are controlled by your gut bacteria. And I've done several shows on that if you want to check that out, because studies show that gut bacteria are responsible for controlling anxiety and stress responses in the body. And even your cravings for food are controlled by how many microbes you have in your gut. If you crave a lot of sugar and fat, then you have a lot of sugar and fat-loving microbes. And the same with other foods. If you crave a lot of processed foods, you have a lot of those microbes. And when you change that and you start eating more fruits and vegetables and higher quality foods, you start to crave those instead of the other foods. It really depends on what you're eating and what you're putting in the body that feeds those microbes. You can change those habits and behaviors and the markers that create inflammation and disease in your body as simply as changing what you put in your mouth. And guys, there's just crazy stuff going on in this world, and sometimes it feels out of control, but there is one thing that you can control, and that is what you put in your mouth. And if you do that one thing, you will have so much help. Your microbes will rush to your side to help you. They will reset your gut, and your body will respond accordingly, and it is amazing. But it takes a firm decision on your part for you to see that kind of change. And for me, let me tell you what happened to me. In the very beginning, when I first found out about kefir, I decided and made a decision that I was going to do this. And I was going to make a kefir smoothie for breakfast every day. That's what I decided. That's the only thing I decided. I didn't decide about making cultured vegetables and kombucha. I didn't do any of that. I thought I can make kefir because it takes 24 hours and I just sit a jar on my counter. And it makes it in 24 hours. I don't need special equipment. I can do that. I can make a smoothie for breakfast. That doesn't seem that hard to me. So I did that. And I started to feel better. So I drank more of it. And I started to feel even better. So then I decided I was going to try some kombucha because that looked really appealing to me and I thought my husband would like it. And I did. And he did like it. And my kids liked it. And it helped my daughter. So I started making more of it. And then I decided after I'd done that for a while that I was going to try cultured vegetables. And I felt so much better when I was doing all of these three things. I started to add more healthy foods to my diet, like fruits and vegetables and legumes, because everything was changing inside of me. And it started to kind of snowball, because then I started exercising, I started telling my friends about it, and then they got better. And then they started bugging me because they wanted me to teach classes. And I said, nope, I don't want to do that. I have no desire to do that. And then they just kept bugging me about it. And then finally one day I did. And the classes started filling up to like 150 people. And then they started begging me to write a book. And I said, no way, Jose, I am not writing a book. I don't know anything about that. I don't want to do that. I don't enjoy writing. I don't want to do any of that. Well, finally they just wore me down. And finally I decided to do it because everybody was bugging me about it so much that I just decided I was going to do it. And I wrote a book. And 9 months later, I self-published it. And 9 months later, a publishing company, Hay House, picked me up. And then I don't even know how this happened. It happened so fast. Next thing I knew, I had 3 best-selling books. I didn't even like writing at the time. Now I love it. And it all started because I made a decision to make a kefir smoothie every day. I swear, that's all that it was, because I had no intention of doing this. I can't even believe I'm doing a podcast. I mean, who does that? I wasn't going to do that. I was I was a stay-at-home mom. I was raising my kids, minding my own business, and I really blamed the kefir. That's what it was. It was the kefir smoothie and the kefir grains that really, they were the answer to my prayers. They were the grace that came into my life. And I started to just fall in love with the body and the microbes. And I don't know who's crazy enough to lay in bed at night and try to think of the names of the 50 bacteria in kefir. I'm the one who does that. I don't even know why I do that. I just think it's cool. I started to have such a grateful heart that these crazy little kefir grains that are super tiny and look like little rubber pieces of cauliflower changed my life. I wanted to know what they did. I wanted to know how they came to me, how they came about, what their history was, what they did, all the 50 bacterias, and I would look up the names and research the different strains, and I just literally just lost my mind and couldn't stop myself from doing all of this. And that came because I was so sick. When I found the wellness that I didn't even know existed for me, I couldn't stop myself. I couldn't stop myself from telling people. I tried not to tell people because people thought I was crazy. That didn't work out very good. But I just fell in love with how it changed my life and how good I feel. Guys, so many people my age, how old am I? I think I'm 58. But I mean, people are retiring, and I'm like this newborn that feels like she just got started. I have so much energy, and my son was making fun of me the other day because you just have so much energy, you just bebop around, and it feels normal to me. I think everybody should feel this way, but wellness is so normal to me that when my kids ever get a virus or get cold or get sick or something, they just think the world's coming to an end, and so do I. Because we're really accustomed to wellness now. And it should be that way. We should feel that way. So, okay. So let me address this. How do you change your microbiome? How do you do it? Well, here's the 7 ways you can change it. This is what I did. This is going to help you a lot. Number 1, you have to stop murdering your microbes, okay? This really bothers me because everybody is killing them left and right and not thinking about it at all. They're taking antibiotics, they're using antibacterial soaps, and I'm not against antibiotics. Sometimes I think they're very necessary, and they've been a real godsend to people because they've saved a lot of lives. But we have gone way overboard. We take them too often. We take them for things that aren't even affected by antibiotics. Like if you have a cold or a virus, a virus is not going to be affected by taking an antibiotic. It doesn't work that way. And you need to stop taking them when you got a cold, unless you have a bacterial infection that you can't get under control. But here's the deal. If you build up the good bacteria in your body and the good army in your body, it will take care of that for you. And it will fight for you, and you won't get sick, and you won't need antibiotics, because if you keep taking them, you're killing both the good and the bad bacteria. They should only be taken if something's, out of control, if you got a bacterial infection or something is really dangerous. But for the most part, your body is really smart and knows how to heal itself. But you have to give it the nutrients that it needs in order to do that. Okay, number 2. Rebuild your microbiome. And you're going to have to start with something. And if kefir looks interesting to you, start that. If kombucha sounds awesome to you, start with that. If cultured vegetables look fun and that kind of calls your name, do that. Do the thing that is calling you. Don't do what I did unless that's something that you find yourself most interested in. Whatever one thing I talk about that kind of tweaks your bell a little bit, kind of sounds interesting, start that. And just do one of them. Don't do all of them. Just try it. See how you do. Because you're going to be ingesting a lot of good bacteria, a lot of probiotics, and you want to start slowly because you're going to start building up an army. And that army is going to kill pathogens and viruses and candidas. It's going to clear out stuff for you. So you want to go a little bit slowly so you don't have a die-off of all the toxins that these pathogens give off when they die off. Because when you have a lot of good bacteria, they kill a lot of these pathogens. And for instance, Candida has 80 toxins that it gives off. And when you have a lot of good bacteria in your gut, Candida starts to die off because it doesn't have any room to live anymore. Because it's not supposed to take control of your body. It's supposed to be a small portion in your body. We actually need it because it helps us digest heavy metals and things that our regular digestive system can't handle. But you want it in a small amount. So if you have a lot of it growing out of control from taking years of antibiotics, when you start ingesting foods like this and you start to get healthy, it's going to clear it out and it gives off a lot of toxins. I call this a healing crisis. I did a show on it. I've got stuff on my website about it. And head on over there and read the article or listen to the podcast on the healing crisis in cultured foods at culturedfoodlife.com. It will help you understand what's happening. Now, you have to rebuild it with a cultured food. So start with one of those. Kefir, kombucha, cultured vegetables, or water. Kefir's wonderful. We've also got, one of my newest things is fermented garlic and honey. That's awesome. You got to try that. That's a great one for cold and flu season. There's just all different kinds of, I think I have 300 or 400 recipes on my website and in my books, and it's crazy. I have 1 million recipes, everywhere. They're all over the place. So pick one that interests you and try it. See how you do. Okay, number 3. Prebiotics. You need prebiotics. What are prebiotics? Prebiotics are things like fruits and vegetables, legumes, nuts, seeds. They feed the good bacteria in your gut and they make them grow and multiply. It's basically like fertilizer for your gut, and it works really, really well. Some of the very strong ones are asparagus, artichokes, leeks, onions, nuts, bananas, berries, carrots, cabbage, apples, chicory root or inulin, dandelion root or dandelion greens, raw garlic, flax seeds, honey, other seeds too, like chia seeds, all of them, oats, grains, millet, buckwheat, all of those are prebiotics, and your bacteria loves them, and it makes them grow and multiply. And we have a lot of different foods that have prebiotics in them. We have this one powder that's called Prebio Plus, and it's made from like the peels of lemon and oranges that are prebiotic in nature. And they grind it down and they form into powder, and it's made from artichokes and chicory root. And you can sprinkle it in your tea and coffee because it won't be affected by heat. Or you could I put it in my salad dressing, I put it in my kefir grains, I put it in my smoothies. And just a little tiny bit goes a long way. And what it does is it's a very, very powerful prebiotic that feeds the good bacteria in your gut. Anytime you see something that says inulin or chicory root, or it has the words FOS, which is fructooleosaccharide, those are things that are prebiotics, and they are going to feed your good bacteria. And they're in a lot of products nowadays, health food products, and they're putting them in tons of things. And so if you check that and look for that, that's a really good thing to add to your foods. I see them even in healthy snacks and like nut bars. They help hold things together, so they're kind of a stabilizer, and they're good for you. They're very, very good for you. And FOS, which is the fructooleosaccharides, contains 35% prebiotic content in it. And it's a combination of things. It can be made out of bananas or chicory root or garlic or onions, asparagus, jicama, leeks, and they just grind it up so that it's in more of a concentrated powder. It's a subgroup of inulin, which is the same thing. They call them two different things, FOS or inulin. And they're kind of the same thing. If you see them, they work the same way. And even grains such as barley and some of the ancient grains, spelt, things like that, they also contain FOS. Jerusalem artichoke, it is loaded with it. And if you can find those are so good for you. Even leeks, even if you can just, there was a guy who does the American Gut Project. His name is Jeff Leach, and he has tested it. He tests people's gut microbes to see what they contain, what kind your body contains. It's kind of a cool project. And you can send it in your different things so that they can test your gut microbiome and see what you've got inside of you. And he was saying that in an afternoon, he's tested himself many times. If he eats a plate of leeks, lightly sauteed leeks, he can change his gut microbe like incredibly in one meal. And it's so he tries to do it often because it's so helpful to his body. Okay, number 4. Now, this is going to be an unusual one, but it's really important. You need to get outside into nature and get dirty, okay? You need to get your hands in the dirt as gardeners, plant some flowers, mow your lawn, or do any kind of activity that connects you to the dirt, because in the dirt is bacteria that is really, really good for you. It affects you in so many ways because there's microbes in dirt that we need that we don't get around anymore. So people's immune systems have gotten weaker because we need to connect to the dirt because there's microbes in there that help feed and help our immune system in a powerful way. And they even found that some of the microbes in the dirt work like Prozac on the brain and in the body in a powerful way. So I really think that we've almost gotten too clean. And I planted some succulents last weekend. And there's something about working in the dirt for me that it is a very calming effect on my body. I really, really love it. I planted a pot that I brought into my house because I wanted, I had like a little palm tree that I put in the living room because I love plants. And it makes such a difference. I have my hands in the dirt all day. And I'm telling you, it is just calming. That's why gardeners say it's their happy place. And I think we need those microbes in our body, and I don't think we get enough of them. Okay, number 5, kombucha. I love it. If you haven't tried it, it's a fermented tea, and it's probiotic in nature. It has one of the strongest probiotics in it, but it's a probiotic yeast, so it can't be killed by antibiotics. And it's very, very powerful, and it's so, so good for you. It's bubbly. It's a great alternative to pop. It's a powerful assistance to your liver. It helps you detoxify you in a very powerful way. And it's delicious. I love it. You can make it all different kinds of flavors, and they sell it everywhere now. It's most grocery stores, almost every health food store. Kombucha is sweeping the nation, and it's awesome for you. It's a wonderful drink. Also, number 6, cultured vegetables. I can't say enough about them. They have a special bacteria in them that is so powerful for you. It's doing so many wonderful things around the world. It's helping to heal sepsis, and it helps with sepsis in babies that are in many of the countries where so many babies die from it. And they've saved like 5,000 babies in this one study. They stopped the study early because it was so effective that it was not only helping the babies survive this bacterial infection in the body, but it was also helping the respiratory system, which they didn't expect. And it's not only does that, but it helps remove pesticides and chemicals from the food you eat. And when you eat it, it helps you remove chemicals and pesticides from your body. It is a powerful cleanser of the gut. It helps your colons to stay functioning well. It kills viruses. It's powerful for any kind of food poisoning or stomach virus. And trust you me, you want a jar of this in your fridge because there is nothing that works faster on vomiting or diarrhea than cultured vegetables. And we're talking about just the juice works just as well as the veggies. All you need is a couple spoonfuls, and you don't have to believe me. Just try it. I mean, I love this part where nobody believes me. And then I get all these emails because people try and go, okay, I didn't believe you, but it worked. And teenagers believe in it now. I've got so many letters from them where they got sick and it worked. So they told their friends. And I love that. I love that there's something that's just food that works on the body like medicine. I've got lots of information on my website about it. It's just food, guys. It's cool. And it works, but it can't help you if you don't have a jar in your fridge. And it lasts like 9 months in your fridge. So if you make a jar of cultured vegetables and you don't want to eat them, they still last a really long time. They age like a fine wine in your fridge and they're delicious. And I've got a lot of recipes. So it's just a must-have in your refrigerator. Okay. Number 7, water kefir is wonderful. I love it. And it's something that most teenagers really, really enjoy. I love it. I love it as a pick up in the afternoon. It's got like 14 different probiotics in it. And it's just so nice to have something, something in the afternoon or something in the evening, or just something that tastes good, that's bubbly, it's tart tasting. There's not a lot of sugar if it's made properly. And it's such a good replacement for these sodas we have, that are just so much about regular soda pop is just wreaking havoc on our lives. It's not good for us. It's hard on our thyroid. And this kind of water kefir strengthens the body, and it's so good for you. And it's a great place to start if your family's picky. They'll love it. I promise you, they will love it. It's something that everybody enjoys, and it's fun to get your kids to make it. So that is my show today. I'm just trying to help you find some easy ways to fix things. And honestly, this is just what I did. These are the things I did, and I did them step by step. I didn't do them all at once. Just pick one and try it, and little by little change it. You don't have to do it overnight. Just do it a little bit at a time. But you'll see the results yourself. You'll see the evidence of it. It'll make you want to keep doing it, because wellness should be the norm. It should not be the exception. And when you discover that it is the norm, it opens up a whole new world for you. And don't be surprised if you wind up doing podcasts and writing books, because I sure didn't expect that to happen to me. But here I am, helping others find the thing that was the answer for me. I call it grace. You can call it whatever you want. I have a very grateful heart. It changed my life, and my prayer is that it will change you.